Hi everyone, this is Clara with Card Stamping with Clara. Can't hardly believe that another week has passed, but it has. And it's time to do another video. They come really fast, it seems like. And hopefully I've got some cards this week that you will enjoy. If you would please, push that subscribe button before we get started. That would be great. That would help me and I would appreciate it. Today, we are going to focus on this flowing fountain stamp set. And it does not have framelits that come with it. It's just a stamp set. And it's got a beautiful fountain here, as you can see. It has got some little cute birds and some very nice sentiments that you can use in your cards. One being, you mean so much to me. Another one, take care of yourself. One friend can change your whole life. With sympathy. Always loved, never forgotten, forever missed. So that's the stamp set for today. We are going to be using the Lily Framelits die, basically just for this one die to cut out the sentiment label. And we're also going to be using these stitched rectangle framelits dies, and we're going to be using the 4th largest. And when I say the 4th largest, I mean starting right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, counting in that direction. So that will help you to determine which one that I'm going to be using today. Okay, the card that we're going to make today is a sympathy card. Frankly, I needed one for my web page, so we're going to do that. And this is the card we're going to be making. It says with sympathy on the outside, and we put the fountain on, and this is the floral romance. I always want to say it backwards. It's floral romance. That's right, floral romance DSP, and it is a piece of vellum. Is actually what it is, and it's overlaid onto a piece of Whisper White, and then onto the Blackberry Bliss. And then the inside, I used the always loved, never forgotten, forever missed sentiment on this one. So this is the card for today that we're going to make. Now, I'm going to show you the other options as to what you might do with this set, or not set. I'm used to using a set, I'm sorry. But the stamp set, not indicating that there's dies with it. It's what I'm trying to distinguish. Okay, this is another with sympathy that's very much like the other one. I simply used some little butterflies, and I used a blue background, and I used I think just basic gray here to do a little bit of color. And these are watercolor pencils or pens, and they're not the blends. So anyway, you can use those if you want to color in some. And it is a little bit darker card than the other one, as you can see. When you get up close, I mean, it's a little bit easier to see the color of the fountain. But, you know, on the inside, I put the same sentiment, put some little butterflies. So this, like I said, it was a little bit darker, and I decided I wanted something a little bit lighter, so I changed the background, the color of the fountain. This is another option for the fountain. This just says hello. It's kind of got a little bling with the gold, and got a little bird, and it said, I thought of you today. So there's an entirely different card than the sympathy card. Here's one that it's got our friend, one friend can change your whole life. And I used some green to coordinate this one, and with the blue, and use the pretty punch, the the pretty label punch. Can't get my tongue and my lips working here this morning. I apologize. It says you mean so much to me. So that's an option for a friend. This one is a bright pink one. And if you like pink, this might be your card. I don't know. But this has the country floral embossing folder that I used on this pink. And I spritzed it with some water that had some of the frost white ink in it, and it gave it a shiny effect. And tied a little ribbon, one of the little cheat kind of ribbons, as people say. It's really just a little knot with a couple little tails, and so that's the one that, you know, it really stands out. But, you know, I kind of like that one too. And it's a I Thought of You Today with a little bird at the bottom. Okay, do you need a congratulations card? You can even turn this one into a congratulations card. I took some gold foil, and I also embossed the fountain in gold. So I'm going to move it around here a little bit. Hope you'll get a good look at it. And so that kind of dressed it up. It's looks a little bit more fancy or elegant than just the plain ones, but you know, they can't all be alike. Then on the inside it says happy anniversary with a little gold bird down at the bottom. I also embossed this. I'll turn it a little bit. It looks, from my angle right now, it looks gray, but actually it's gold. So there you go. This one I didn't put a fountain on. You don't have to have a fountain on it. I used a die that we have, and it said, again, one friend can change your whole life. I put a little bird flying in the sky and two little birds sitting at the bottom as if they were friends. And you mean so much to me with a little heart at the end. So there's one that's a little bit more simple. And this was the last one I made, and actually took me by surprise. I had embossed, there's a little something on that. I had embossed this fountain in silver. And I'm going to turn it, and I don't know if you can see or not, but it actually shines and looks a little bit like ice, especially with this glitter paper around it. And the more I looked at it with the background paper, I thought, that looks like a Christmas card. It's what that looks like. May your Christmas sparkle with joy and happiness and Christmas blessings. And I know it's not the time of year to make Christmas cards, but this one just kind of came out of the blue, and it did make this fountain look like it was frozen with ice, which gives a wintertime touch, which I would have never thought of. It just kind of fell together. So this card that we're doing in the springtime, thinking spring thoughts, can actually be turned into a Christmas card. So, you know, it doesn't have but the one stamp that's got an image with the little birds. Well, it does have little birds, but I mean, you know, one main stamp, but you can do all kinds of things with it. So I wanted to show you that. Okay, well, it's time to get started to make the card. And I got my little packet here, as you've seen me do before if you've watched any of my videos. Because Clara loses things, I have to put them in a little container or something. Okay. This is a little Blackberry Bliss bow that I made from some baker's twine. I want to show you this pack while I'm thinking about it. I'll just lay it right here. It comes 4 in a pack. And this was with one of our sets from the big catalog. So this one is mint macaron, and you've got grapefruit grove, and then you got crumb cake and the Blackberry Bliss. And I really hadn't used this before. I've had it for a while, but it was perfect for what I needed last night. So sometimes that's the way it works out. Okay. We're going to start with the card base. The card base for this one is the thick Whisper White. It's 8.5 inches this way. It's 5.5 inches this way, which is the, you know, the width of it. And then you score it at 4 1/4, but most all of you know how to do that anyway. But I'll mention it just in case somebody hadn't seen the video before. I've got a white piece, cut another Whisper White to go on the inside with the sentiment. Always loved, never forgotten, forever missed, with a little greenery at the bottom, and that will go in like that a little bit later. And for the front part of it, I'll lay that part over. We're going to have, this is the Blackberry Bliss. We're going to have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. And what that does is it leaves a border. Then on top of okay, now we have the 3 3/4 by 5 piece of Whisper White. And you might think, why not just lay this on the Blackberry Bliss instead of the white? And the reason for that is, I started with that very idea. Look what happens when you put it over a dark sheet. And when you put the Sympathy adhesive underneath to hold the vellum, which is what I'm going to do today, it makes a tremendous difference in the way it looks. This is bright and pretty. That looks kind of dark. So that's the reason for the extra piece of Whisper White. The vellum is cut for the same measurements. And if any of these measurements that you need, if you don't get them written down, you certainly don't have to. This card will be featured this week on my blog. It will be up by the time that you see this video. And you can go to the card. You can click just below the card. For instance, the card will be shown like this, and there will be a date underneath the card. All you have to do is click on that, and it will take you directly to where this card is made. It will give you a sheet of printable supplies and the measurements and the directions. There will also be a link back to this video. This is the Sympathy adhesive sheet that I'm going to put on the back of the vellum. And the reason for that is vellum is very thin. I don't know whether you can tell from the camera or not, but it's very thin. You see, you can kind of see my fingers through there. Well, if you put some kind of glue or something on the back of this, it's going to show on the front of your card. So you need something, and the thing that I have found that works better than anything else is just to put a solid sheet of this Sympathy adhesive on the back of it, and it's a double-sided adhesive, and it will stick perfectly and not show any lumps or bumps. All right. I also mounted this. I went ahead and did this last night. Is I mounted this fountain onto the Blackberry Bliss. It's got a tiny little border around it that I hope you can see. I used the blueberry bushel for the water and the birds. I used the Blackberry Bliss to color in these little accents, I guess, I would say. I used Granny Apple Green for the leaves around the fountain. And I just used some garden green that was darker because there was some darker colors in that vellum to kind of ground, if you will, the fountain so it doesn't look like it's just sitting there in midair with the birds flying. You know? So there's a reason sometimes that you need to make a little ground underneath. And we've got these two little labels, one in white stamped with Sympathy, and then the other one is the Blackberry Bliss. And I did stamp the with Sympathy and on the inside with the Blackberry Bliss. So there you go. All right, the pieces have been explained, and we're going to put this together. I'm going to lay this one over. guess the first thing we're going to do this morning, since this is already done, is I'm going to put the adhesive, or at least I'm going to try to put the adhesive on the back of this. This part, the first step, is easier than the second step. It's not, I guess it's not all that difficult, but it's just, maybe it's just me, I'll put it that way. So, make sure that the right side of your vellum is up at this point. There's a tiny little border along here that you can hold with your fingers so that it's not sticky. Then you want to, the very best you can, line this thing up right along that little border. And by doing that, when it comes down, you know, you've got a pretty good adhesion. There's a tiny little bit of this showing around it, but that will be okay because this is going to peel off. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to adhere this piece to the Whisper White. I might point out, you probably need to press this down. Whoops. Press this down good. You can do it with a bone folder if you like. I mean, I've got one right here. You can just take it and it'll go like that. That's probably better than using your fingers, but sometimes I might take a shortcut. Who knows? All right. Now then, as you can see, this peels right away. All right. And then the adhesive on the back of this vellum is completely smooth. That's why I like this particular adhesive sheet. You just have to be careful. And this is the part, if it just touches it, it will stick. Now, I think what I'm going to do, instead of risking, there. Now, what I am going to do, you see, it's off just a teeny little edge right there, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim that away. So it'll be perfectly straight on the Whisper White. I mean, it's still going to be straight. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I need to even it up. It's just a tiny little bit. And that's what I find just a tiny bit difficult, is trying to get it where it would perfectly fit on that. Okay. I think that'll be all right. In my book, that's the hard part, so. But if you notice, and I've got a piece of this sticky stuff clinging to my fingers, that just makes for a beautiful background. Once you get that white in behind it, it just makes those flowers pop out and it just looks really pretty. Okay, next thing we're going to do is take this and put some of this mono multi-purpose liquid glue made by Tombow on the back of it. See if I can get a little bit of that to come out. It's a new tube, it just hadn't got started going yet. Okay. All right. I'm gonna lay this kind of where I can see it, and I hope my head doesn't get in the way. Just to get it started. Then I've got to hold it up. I just can't get these things straight if I don't do it that way. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Press that down. Now then, we're going to adhere this piece to the card base. And see, each time you're leaving a little bit of a margin, and it really makes the colors pop by doing that. I like putting a dark color in as a contrast color. Everybody's got their own preferences, and that's fine. That's what makes the world go round. We all like different things, and it'd be a boring place if the good Lord had not made us that way. So, okay. I just want to make sure I get enough that if I need to slip it just a little bit. That is the beauty of this liquid glue. As you can see, if you need to slip it, you can slip it just a tiny little bit before it sets up. Wherein that adhesive sheet, it's not something you want to use necessarily on everything. It's great for sentiments that you're going to cut out, and you don't want to have to put a lot of glue in tiny little places. And it's good for vellum like this. I love it for the vellum. It's my favorite thing to use for that. Okay, all right, there's another step done. Now we're going to take this and we're going to put it onto the card. Always make sure your card opens in the right direction. And I'll show you. For this one, I lined up, and it's not necessary, but I thought it looked better this way. I just lined up the white with that white edge, and I just let that Blackberry Bliss hang over into that border around it. So that's what we're going to do again. This flowing fountain stamp set will be available until the 31st of May. Beyond that, I don't know. We'll have a new yearly catalog coming out then. Okay. Kind of have to pay attention to what I'm doing here, because you will find that Clara cannot chew chewing gum and walk at the same time. I'm not that coordinated. So which just goes to show anybody can do this. All right, that's that part of it. Now then, we're going to get this little sentiment. And, well, I can't pick it up this morning. I'm sorry. All right, as you noticed, this goes on top. But it's exactly the same size. So what do? This is what you do. Anybody that's got any experience stamping already know this, but this is for the gals that might not know. We all have to start somewhere. You cut this thing in half, the dark piece from underneath. Then what you do is you put a tiny little bit of glue, and as you can see, I stamped something I didn't like to start with, so I just turned it over and used the other side of the paper, which is fine when you're going to be gluing it down. Who's going to be taking off the glued pieces to see what's underneath? I mean, you know. All right. You see, I put this up along the edge, not over all of it. Then you have to turn it over this way. Pick up your piece, put it underneath very carefully, and then once you kind of get it stuck, you can move it just a little bit to get the kind of border you want. And then once you got it, right there you go, see? Now you've got the little border on that side. Now we're going to flip it over. I'm going to do the other side. And anybody looking at this, if you didn't know, if you weren't in the stamping world, you would never think that it was done this way. I didn't. Okay. Whoa. And things do like to fly away from time to time. I'm working on this black paper. I'm going to change because it's getting kind of ratty, but I'm trying to put something down where you can see, get a contrast. Okay. I think that's okay. Now, what you may want to do, if your edges are not perfect, you can trim just right around that little white rounded area and slope it off. And then it looks just like it's supposed to. You have a border at the top and border at the bottom. All right, for this one, we are going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. Whoops, excuse me. Bumped something here and it fell over. But we're not going to put Stampin' Dimensionals all the way across it, and this is the reason. And I'm going to tell you so you don't do what I did the first time, which is not on this particular card, but on another card. If you have a layer or two, like this, and you try to put Stampin' Dimensionals or, let's just say, you wanted to glue it down, it's probably going to be even more pronounced if you just tried to glue it down. It's going to slope. So what I do like this is what I usually do is I put some glue on one side and Stampin' Dimensionals on the other. I think that's what I did with this one. Well, that one I put Stampin' Dimensionals all the way across, but it was this one. This was the one that was so much, I had 3 layers. I think that's what it was. But at any rate, when you've got layering that is not even, you can always put dimensionals on one side if you need to, and then put a little bit of glue on the other side. And that works pretty good. And I'm going to do it with this one and see how it turns out compared to the other one. So, I guess I had confused in my mind the last one I did last night where I did that. I didn't actually do it on this one to start with, but I'll show you what I'm talking about, and you will know the next time you have something that's got 2 or 3 layers. Because it can make a difference, in, especially if you're not using very many layers. All right. Get my little tweezers here. I believe that's pretty good right there. Okay. There we go. I believe that's going to work just fine. All right. Yeah. You could do this one either way and be all right. Okay. This, we're going to use some glue dot, or a glue dot, I should say. We do not need many glue dots for this one because we just have this teeny little bow as an accent. And since the bow is so small, I kind of rolled up this glue dot just a little bit so it wouldn't be hanging out. And with this one, I just decided where I wanted to put the bow. And because these little things are so sticky, I used my tool here to get it where I wanted it. Now, I will put my little bow right on top. Let me see. Got to hide the glue dot if we can. Make everything look nice and finished. All right. Okay. Sometimes they cooperate perfectly. As you've heard me say before, of course, it couldn't have anything to do with the person that's putting it together. And you know better than that. I'll get it here in a second. Okay. All right. I think that'll look good when we get it kind of moved around. When these things don't want to go exactly the way you want them to, then you just kind of got to make them go where you want them to go. All right. Now then, we'll put that inside sentiment in and we'll be finished. Whoops. I feel like a wild woman here this morning. I've got everything flying. I hope you all have had time to do some stamping. My week's been a little busier this week, and haven't got to do as much as I'd like to, but you do what you can and you go ahead. Yeah, you don't have to use this extra piece of white. You could just stamp on the back of the card. I just think it balances the card nicely in weight, and I don't know, you see that little, when you can see the little edge, it just, I don't know, it just adds a touch of elegance to it, I think. So, there you go. That's a nice sympathy card. I don't think it's over the top where it's too bright, but yet it looks, you know, it looks pretty and bright too. So, I hope that you don't need a sympathy card anytime soon, but if you do, this is a good option. Like I have said before, I have stamping code, a host code here, and if you spend $150, don't use it. I want you to understand that, because I want you to be able to get the benefit of your Stampin' Reward dollars, which means you get free merchandise. Again, I'm Card Stampin' with Clara, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I really love doing this. It has been a wonderful fit for me as I have gotten older and less able to do other things. I'll put it that way. This is something that I can do and enjoy and just keep on doing, hopefully. So, I hope that you'll have some time to do this too. You can go to my website, and like I said before, you'll find all the instructions. Just click on the date underneath the card that you're interested in, and it will take you straight to the information that you need for making the card, finding the products, you know, getting to my Stampin' Up! Store. I think we've got covered everything that you'll need. If you need something that I have overlooked, by all means, contact me where it says contact, and I'll look and check for emails. Once in a while, they don't come in like I wish they would, or as fast as I wish they would, but most of the time I get them like I'm supposed to. So if you would please drop me a line, say I didn't understand this or I need that, and I'll be glad to get back to you and help you out. Very best I can. If I don't know, I'll find somebody that does. I think that's the important thing. I mean, I certainly don't know everything, and but I do want to be a point at which you can get the information that you need if I don't know. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Push the subscribe button, and I will see you again in a week. So happy stamping. Have a great week, and the good Lord bless you this week and all the weeks to come. Bye-bye.